Hello guys, Assalamu alaikum. Guys, we are back with our weird things, weird videos, weird, everything weird. You are with the BizarreTrain, you will see everything is weird. Bizarre himself is weird. It's a mystery. Yes, I'm going to solve it. How much bizarre is here? How who will know it bizarre is the weird expert. Ute, papa, ute, papa, ute. I'm hoping everything is working well. Everything is working. Everything will be working fine, guys. Sometimes I have no idea. I stop like I have a word, but I can't pronounce it. Sometimes I don't have a word, but then I can't pronounce it if I don't have a word. Okay, guys. Yesterday, where we ended the live stream, today we will start. We will continue our live stream on on that on that video. Like we are not going to watch another video until we complete. We watch everything and we will talk. We will talk about it on the video. Yeah, we will talk about what they are like thinking, what their thinking is going on, why these things are happening, why it's a war of religion, because the Israelis mentality is like, yeah, this war is religious war, because they think the land have the land has given by the god like 3,000 years ago, and still they are white. How the heck they are white? First of all, I don't understand about how a person can be white when they are living in the desert. Like, Jerusalem is almost desert, guys. There's like it's hard to find a water, guys. I have no idea these terms. And like if anyone is believing them, like if anyone is believing the media what they are talking about, I think they are the stupid person in the this universe. Okay? Because I can't say anything because we know these are stupid guys. If you are doing these kind of things, you are stupid. Like if you believe the God has given them like 3,000 years ago, they need to be there. Like they need to be like not be white. They need to be like brown person. Like myself, guys. Like myself. They need to look like me. Close to me, guys. Or maybe darker than me. I think there is a possibility they need to be a more darker than me. But still they believe like now they have like told everyone this is the thing. This is the thing. This is the thing. That's so weird, guys. And how many people believe that? Now, yeah, the God has given you that. That's so weird, guys. And why do people believe them? I have no idea. I have no idea. Like I have no words. Why people believe them? Still, people are believing them. Okay, God is giving you a land. Yes, your land. And their mentality, like they need a Messiah. For Messiah, they need to like create a chaos in the world. People need to be dying everywhere. Like I don't want to die everyone, but they are saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm just like repeating their words. They are doing it, guys. How dumb you can be, like you if you stop like I can't see them. I can't see them. What the heck, guys? You have to like wake up. Like first of all, USA need to wake up. USA's people need to, Americans need to wake up, guys. They are not. Are they dumb or they don't want to like wake up against their government? Like, what the heck you are doing? What's up? I'm, without like waking up them, we can't do anything because their country is doing everything. Like they are bringing chaos. They believe that, yeah, Israel need this land because the God giving them like 3,000 years ago. Where is it? They did not have seen. They're like shown anything. The God has given anything. They are just spreading lies everywhere. I'm talking about the Zionist guys. And how the heck every person think this war is all about the oil? Guys, if America need the oil, they need to be like go toward the Venezuela. It's very easy to like capture their president and then get got a easy oil, guys. If I need a easy thing, I will go toward the easy thing. Why the heck I will go to fight some war that is like going to kill my people? If I have another mindset, like I have a religious war or some kind like that, then this is the problem, guys. If you don't believe me, I don't care, guys. It's the truth. You have to wake up, guys. Yeah, the God has given them the great Israel. I have no idea. Let's watch this video. And yesterday we were watching this video. We like stopped on 23 minutes, and we will be continuing this video. We will watch another video and we will talk about what the heck they are like thinking. How the people are thinking? I'm like so unbelievable, guys. Why the heck people are believing this all about this thing is all about the oil? I I can't say anything, guys. These are people are dumb, and then also boomers. Like in my chat, I think most of the people are boomers. When they arrive, they say weird things. I have no idea why they say weird things, and they believe it. Like they believe it. How the heck you can believe it? I can't say. I have no words. Sorry, guys. Let's watch this and we'll talk about everything. Guys, yesterday we watched this video like 23 minutes. In the 20, we are in the 23 minute, and this video is good because like the prophet Professor Chang is like literally talking. It's like it's telling us something good. I want to know it, guys. I don't want to be like I want to cynical. Yeah, it's his video. You can go and watch this whole video on the Cynical channel. Yeah, it's a good video. I think it's a great video. Like if you want to know about the war, like if you want to follow the war, I think the Cynical is good. It's a great. It's like it's doing perfect work, guys. I don't watch media. Come on, don't watch media. Go and search about it, things, guys. Sometimes there's the AI. That what the heck AI is there? Like we have to see like this. God, like thing like this. It is the AI or not?
And so they want the people of the GCC to rise up and overthrow these corrupt monarchies, and then become partners and allies of the Iranians, and then build a more prosperous Middle East. That is their game plan here. Okay, they may not achieve it, but that's what they want to achieve. They want to galvanize the Islamic population. They want Muslims on their side. So, 2 billion Muslims are watching this war and they're rooting for Iran. So Iran does not want to be seen as the bad guy here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like if something happens and you're like, wait a minute here, that's bad. Well, it might be a false flag. Okay.
And when can we expect that the GCC? I saw you predict that you think the GCC is going to go bankrupt.
Tucker Carlson was saying that Qatar and Saudi has captured some Mossad agents, guys. Literally, he was saying the Saudi and Qatar has captured the Mossad agents, guys.
And that the reputation Dubai has, they've pushed a big marketing campaign to try to say, look how safe it is. And all the influencers I'm sure you've seen are, look, it's there's not that many bombs around here. It's fine. I'm walking through the Dubai Mall. Yeah. Everything's fine. Yeah. Don't panic, everybody. It's like that SpongeBob meme where everything's on fire and this is fine. So is the reputation of Dubai and the GCC, these countries, is it ruined? And what is the inevitability that they go bankrupt? And I hope they don't. I like these places.
Right. So these places are mirages. So let me explain what I mean. These places exist as constructs of empire. So for the longest time, the Arabian desert was mainly nomadic people, sparse population because the water supply, the agricultural system did not support a large population. But with the rise of the Anglo-American Empire and the need for oil, and the fact that the Anglo-American Empire could protect these Gulf states in their oil production and provide safe passage for the oil across the world, then these states were able to rise very quickly. And we're talking like 50 years, okay? These are not old established civilizations. These are like new money. But the problem is that they're not sustainable. Right? And for three reasons. First of all, again, they don't have a fresh water supply, no major rivers. And so therefore they rely entirely on desalination plants. Desalination plants supply about 6% of the water supply for the GCC. Okay. Second is that these are not agricultural nations, so they need to import about 80 to 90% of food from overseas. That's an incredible number. Okay. If the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, people could starve to death in the GCC. And the third is knowledge workers. So they don't have the human capital to support a knowledge economy. Therefore, they have to import it from overseas, right? There are a lot of Indian workers who work as fast food workers. You have British working in PR. So these are not real societies. And so it's all been a mirage. So, they spend a lot of money creating this image of themselves as safe and secure places where, you don't pay taxes and you can make a lot of money. So put all your money here. And people were putting their money in Dubai. But guess what? Just one drone, one ballistic missile has destroyed this mirage. And once this mirage is destroyed, it's never coming back. So we can expect billions and billions of dollars to flee the GCC, especially the UAE, over the next few weeks.
And is this a paid marketing campaign? I'm sure you've seen these info. Could we expect that they're trying to do damage control?
Yeah, they are. And honestly, these influencers also have property in Dubai, right? Yeah. So it's in their best interest to maintain the image that Dubai is still vibrant. But look, once a mirage is punctured, you can't see it again. Okay, so I mean, it's done. I don't see a future here.
And what would you say to the Iranian diaspora? They're doing chants saying "Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Bibi," while the footage of Tehran up in flames. Right, they're attacking the water supply that affects villages. The airport's been bombed. Hegseth is saying, almost a word-for-word quote, that the only people that should be afraid are the Iranians that think they're going to live. Trump saying that they are going to be decimated and that they're evil people. What would you say to these Western Iranians that are supporting Epstein regime bombing their country?
Right. So first of all, what the Americans are doing in Tehran is essentially war crimes, right? So they destroyed oil facilities. These are civilian oil facilities that civilians need to just live. And the entire city is covered in acid rain. It's black. I'm not sure if you've seen footage from Tehran, but and these oil products are going to cause cancer, long-term cancer. So they doom the civilian population of Tehran. And you know, the irony, of course, is that if there's one place that would be most supportive of regime change, a city that would most welcome the Americans is actually the city of Tehran, with its progressive, well-educated urban population. And now you've turned the entire city of Tehran against you. You've unified the Persian people because now they see this as a matter of life and death. With regard to the Persian diaspora, well, I mean, like they are just a diaspora, right? So they're similar to the Cubans in Florida. If you go, yeah, if you go to Miami, right, like someone like Marco Rubio, they're all crazy when it comes to Cuba. Right now, look, people forget this, but right now, the Americans are starving to death Cuba. Cuba relied on Venezuela energy, and once Maduro was kidnapped and replaced, then these oil exports declined, and now Cuba is under de facto embargo. They cannot get any energy, and so they don't have water. They don't have electricity. They're starving to death, and no one's reporting this. And these Cubans in Florida are celebrating the fact that wow, now they can go home. And so the same situation with the Persians in LA, where they were kicked out in 1979 because they were corrupt and they were decadent. And that just made them very angry. And they grew up with these stories of how glorious Persia was under their reign, and they are intent on going back and running the country again.
We saw the same thing with Venezuela. They were cheering on their president being kidnapped, thinking that it was going to be freed. They were thanking Trump. And it just shows how many people become victim to this Western propaganda. And in the midst of all this, they are saying now, I'm seeing Lindsey Graham and Trump talk about Cuba is in the midst of this war. Now Cuba is next. Why Cuba now? What is really going on? Is it the fact that they're not involved in the Rothschild central bank system? Why Cuba in the midst of Iran war?
Right. So I think this is very much an empire in decline. So if you just look at all these empires in history and how they behave when they are in decline, they behave exactly
Understand
like
Chinese
this,
or maybe
where they're
Japanese. I
going
have
and
no idea
conquering
which
anyone
language
they
we are
can to
writing.
prove that they are still the
Please, can
empire.
you like
So
translate in English?
an empire in decline, the decline is basically you cannot reverse decline because your people, the very nature of your people have become corrupt, right? So before Americans worked in factories and made things. Now they just make things up, meaning that, for the past 20, 30 years, the main economy was focused on financialization, creating like these derivatives, creating these gambling mechanisms for the world. And that led to, of course, the 2008 great financial crisis. And America's never really recovered from that. I mean, look at
I said, what is this about? It's all about the war, guys. Right now, it's going on war about the Iran war and the USA-Israel war.
the decadence in America today. I'm not sure if this statistic is correct. You can tell me if this is correct or not, right? But apparently 20% of all American white girls in their 20s are on OnlyFans, something like that. All right. I'm not sure if you've heard this, but just the idea that you have a percentage of American white girls in the 20s all on OnlyFans. That's just incredible to think about, okay? And like the people joke that that's what America wants to do. America wants to liberate Iranian women so that they can go on OnlyFans and enjoy American corruption and decadence, all right?
Yeah, So the
Yeah,
statistic
so
says on Google that for women aged 18 to 24, roughly 14% are active on OnlyFans. So that's 18 to 24, right? Imagine it's probably 20% or maybe 30% if you go up
yeah.
to 35, 40 years old. And the percentage of these women that are white, it's about 70%.
Guys, the porn industry is all about the destroying the community, guys. Like, porn is the main for like destroying the family system. Because in if there is a family system, they can unite, guys. The elites don't want us to be elite. Like elite. No, I think unite. I think unite. We elite don't want us to be a unite, guys. That's why they want to be us like our females need to be in the porn industry, in the like OnlyFans, in these kind of places. this is the like main core to like make us crazy, and we will be like alone. Like they want us to be alone, guys, because they want us have a dogs. In the USA, always someone has a dog.
So, and that's
That's
the
crazy.
narrative you're hearing from the Trump people. They're saying, "Oh, look, the libtards are getting owned," and they're posting images of Iranian girls stripping free of their niqab, their oppressive niqab, and now they're naked, which is so ridiculous because it's the conservative right saying the libtards are mad that women are on OnlyFans.
Yeah, yeah. So again, OnlyFans, I think, is the best indicator of a society in decline, right? So the Roman Empire, when it declined,
Yep.
the main problem was that women refused to have children. And so everyone was freaking out, like, what can we do about it?
Right now, Europe
Civil
and
war
USA.
is another huge issue right now in America. What's happening in Minnesota, basically. Currency debasement is a huge issue where the US dollar is not worth anything anymore. I mean, like, look at this inflation. I mean, like, look at US dollar compared with gold, right? So these boomers are happy about the fact that, their property prices are going way up, right? Maybe before in 1980, they bought their home for $100,000. Now it's worth $2 million. And so it's like, we're rich. But what's funny is that if you take gold, right, and look at, and ask yourself, if I were to buy gold, you used to go to buy a house in 1980 as versus using gold to buy a house today, it'd be cheaper to buy gold to buy a house with gold now. I mean, that's just crazy to think about. Where the currency debasement has just been incredible, and people haven't even noticed it. So these are all the signs of an empire in massive decline. And again, there's no way to reverse this decline. And so what the empire is doing is lashing out, right? If Russia completes the invasion of Ukraine, then Russia is now able to control 1/3 of the world's carbohydrates. So if Russia wills it, the Middle East, Africa could starve to death. And right now there's talk of Iran, Russia, and China creating a trade bloc, which then would negate American naval power. Okay, and if that were to happen, then that $40 trillion of debt that America has, America's stuck holding the bag. I mean, like that's just a bomb waiting to explode and destroy America. Because if this trade bloc were to come into being, then you can imagine that Europe, Africa, and the Middle East would all get involved as well. And people would just ignore America. The entire world would be like, oh, you want to impose tariffs on us? Well, we just won't trade with you then, right?
Right.
So this war in Iran, this war in Venezuela, Cuba, now Trump is talking about Mexico. He's talked about buying Greenland. He's talked about taking over Canada. Like he's being serious here because an empire needs to secure resources and trade routes. And that's what an empire does. So it's an empire in decline, and it's anxious, it's wounded, it's scared. And so it lashes out across the world.
How many of these people, like Patrick Bet-David, I recently saw, he's like trying to copy your lectures a little bit, maybe you didn't see, but this is a good example of a Western Iranian who he comes to America and encourages this war, but then he's not going to fight in there. He's not going to enlist. There might be a draft coming. I don't know if you think that's likely. And he doesn't go back to Iran with not going to fight in the war. Are these examples of Mossad paid influencers, or are they just completely brainwashed and don't know how to submit to the fact that Trump completely lied about everything he said he was going to do in his campaign?
So Patrick David, so he actually got in touch on Monday. He wanted to interview me. He wanted me on his show. And what happened was, that was the same day that there was a concerted online campaign against me. Like it was just weird in that, and that I went on Twitter and like everyone was attacking me. And like it was the same talking points where, I just make stuff up. And like they picked the most silly things to attack me with. Okay. So for example, like last year I talked about how I didn't believe the Battle of Canine actually happened. And I explained why I think this history was made up. And then like, well, you see, this guy is just full of it. This guy doesn't know history. Everyone, so I'm like, who are these people, and why is this happening all at the same time? So that interview request from Patrick Bet-David, it's sort of like I'm like, like this must be a setup.
Yeah.
He wants me on a show so that he can provoke me into say something really stupid, so then he can, broadcast this around the world to discredit me. So I basically ignored his email.
It was the
But
identical coordinated campaign that Candace Owens got when she started to make a video exposing Erica Kirk's past, and they revealed that there was an email from Turning Point where they were giving people a script, like Dan Bongino, former FBI director. They were saying that she's demonic, she's evil, and it was specifically from Turning Point paying influencers and telling them to run with this script. And after the script was released, you could tie it exactly to what Dan Bongino said and many other influencers. I saw the same exact coordinated attack on you. As soon as you start blowing up and they found that you were vindicated, all the Peter Thiel MAGA affiliated influencers all came out of nowhere to discredit you. But I think it really just made you more popular. I don't think that it was successful at all.
yeah, and what's really funny is that a lot of these anti-China people, like these people who make these propaganda videos about China, saying what a corrupt regime the government is, for the reason they went after me as well. So I wonder how much of the internet is actually organic. I mean,
Yeah.
like who are these people, and what's the problem with me? I'm not even talking about China, man. I'm talking about like Iran. Why are they
Yeah.
coming after me?
You're you're not but you criticize communism heavily. And they say that if you're a CCP plant, then you would love communism, but you talk about how this was created to distract people from faith and make people focused on secular politics. So there's no real evidence that you would be, influenced by anybody other than
There is a faith, guys. People can go wild, guys. That's why they want like this kind of governments. Like people have they can control the people, because if there is a religion who is like doing something in their mind, maybe they can go against them. Right? They will ask why you are doing this thing. Our religion don't say anything. This kind of thing, like the people can grow and to like go against the government. That's why they need this kind of mentality.
your own research.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to come after me just because I've made a lot of videos and I take a lot of controversial positions. And I'm only interested in intellectual speculation. I'm interested in ideas. I'm not taking a side. And what I do is I make predictions and I try to explain my predictions to better enlighten the population. So it's very hard for them to actually attack me, but that didn't stop them.
Right. A lot of people wanted to ask you how you were able to predict so much, but I mean, it's pretty easy to understand. If you watch your lectures, it's and you mentioned it earlier in this conversation, that the best way to analyze behavior is see past behavior. And so it's really the fall of every empire is the arrogance and the concept of hard times create strong men create good times create weak men. And we're seeing the boomer effect right now. These boomers that dominate American politics, these evangelical Christian war hawks that have nothing to do with Catholicism or Orthodox, they have this belief that God bless the state of Israel. They keep voting people in, they hoard the wealth, and then they criticize the youth while bringing us into the same exact wars. We found out that Iraq war, there were no weapons of mass destruction. And then right now, you accurately pointed out, the bombs that they're using and what's happening to the air quality and the environment in Iran, it's going to cause birth defects the same way. Even though there were 1 million civilian casualties in Iraq, there were so many birth defects as well from the chemical weapons being used. And so history just repeats itself, predictive history.
And they told us a plan already, right? Because right after 9/11, Wesley Clark said that he saw, he talked to someone who saw a memo that said there was a plan to destroy 7 countries in the Middle East, right? And the last country standing is Iran. So they told us a plan already, and why not just take them at face value, right? Again, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. If they went after Iraq, Libya, Syria, Lebanon,
Yemen,
Sudan, why won't they go after Iran at some point?
Yeah, and Netanyahu said he's been trying to get this done for 40 years, and Trump finally did it. This is all public. And Marco Rubio said that Iran did not pose a threat on America, that they attacked because they were threatening Israel. It's clear who struck first, and people still buy the propaganda. The major lie that's being spread is that, okay, well, we can't allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. We can't allow Iran to have nukes. But Israel has nuclear weapons. And when JFK tried to investigate their nuclear program, you saw everybody knows what happened to JFK. As well, Israel has the Samson option, which is the ability, if I'm not mistaken, to nuke the world if too much anti-Semitism rises. So you have predicted and you've spoken about the ground troop potential invasion. I don't know when you think that is. Maybe you can answer that. But what is the potential of a nuke dropping?
Right. So I would actually discount a nuke dropping, okay? So, and this is something that I think occupies a lot of people, but let me explain why I don't think this will ever happen, okay? Okay. The first reason is the Samson option. The Samson option, as you point out, is that Israel will literally nuke the entire world if its existence is threatened. Okay, it's not a conspiracy. It's just their policy. Okay, so that's a strategic nuclear arsenal you're using for strategic purposes. If you want to use a nuke in a war, that's something called a tactical nuclear strike, right? Now it's actually hard to change military doctrine in the middle of a war. It's almost like asking a football team to go play hockey, right? Because remember, a military is a bureaucracy. There's everyone's trained to think a certain way, and so a tactical nuclear weapon would go against every military doctrine in the world. So I don't think that it's so. If people talk about it, but I think it's beyond the capacity of both the Israelis and Americans to actually use a tactical nuclear weapon in Iran. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is that you would use a tactical nuclear weapon if you want to win this war at all costs. But that's assuming these guys want to win this war. But if you look at the eschatology, right? If you look at the entire premise of the Greater Israel Project, they want to actually lose this war. Why? Because the point of America going into Iran with a ground invasion is for Americans to lose so badly that they're forced out of the Middle East. America is forced to go back into the Western Hemisphere. They no longer involve themselves in the Middle East. And so when America goes, CENTCOM, Central Command, folds naturally into Israel, thus creating the Greater Israel Project, right? All these American bases, all the American technology, the satellites, the airplanes, the bombs, all go into Israel, right? So it benefits actually Israel to drag this war out as long as possible, to force a ground invasion that destroys American morale, and then they pick up the pieces, right? The longer this war goes on, the more destruction there is, the more Israel benefits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Israel is now getting bombarded, especially Tel Aviv, by Iranian missiles. But you may not have known this, but there are actually Israelis in Tel Aviv burning down their own homes for the insurance money, right? So
Israel is like they're destroying their homes for them. Oh my god, for the insurance money. Immediate calling China, CCP.
the Israelis have absolutely no problem with destroying their own country if it means more profit in the future. Okay, they don't. So that's their calculus. Okay, that's point number two. Like they don't want to win this war; they want to lose this war.
Mm-hmm.
Point number three is this: if Iran were to collapse, if the Israelis and Americans succeed in occupying Iran, Russia would be in a lot of trouble. And we talked about this last time, right? Where Russia would be insistent on making sure that Iran is coherent. And so there's reporting from the Washington Post that right now the Russians are providing targeting intelligence to the Iranians, and that's why these missile strikes are so accurate. Also, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, has said that the Russians are interested in the Iranians winning this war. And I'm sure through back channels, the Russians have informed the Americans and Israelis, don't go too far. Do not use nukes, okay? And at some point, if there is a ground invasion, I would not be surprised if Putin came out in public and said that Iran is now under the Russian nuclear umbrella, which means that if we detect any tactical nuclear strike in Iranian territory, that would be considered an attack on Russian territory as well, and Russia will respond accordingly, okay? So for these three reasons, I think the possibility of a nuclear weapon being used is almost zero.
And we've seen Putin made it clear that he's against this. He does not think that U.S.-Israel starting this war was justified. And we've also heard the U.S. criticize Russia for providing intel to Iran. So it's clear where the players are. Many other players are getting involved. France is supporting U.S.-Israel. They criticized the U.K., even though Keir Starmer seems like he's trying to seem like he's part of the U.S.-Israel operation, but they said that he's a traitor. Spain has refused to join in. Who are the other key players around the world that we should be?
Guys, Spain is wild, guys. Spain's president is wild, guys. Sanchez. He said, no, we don't want to go in this war. This is wild. Like giving a Trump say, no, we don't want to go this. This is not our war.
Paying attention to in this conflict?
Yeah, so Turkey is a wild card. And so obviously the Americans and Israelis want to drag Turkey into this war. Pakistan is a wild card as well, primarily because they have nuclear weapons. Now, Pakistan is an interesting problem because during the 12-day war, Pakistan voiced support to the Iranians. But then a few
I don't think that like Pakistan will give anything to them. Because right now Pakistan's population will go wild. I think so. Yeah. I think everything will go wild.
months later, Pakistan signed a mutual defense pact with Saudi Arabia, which meant that if Saudi Arabia is under attack, then Pakistan must come to its defense, primarily by using nuclear weapons. Okay? So if Israel is able to stage more false flags against Saudi Arabia, and if Saudi Arabia declares war against Iran, then Pakistan would be obligated by this treaty to enter the war against Iran. And Pakistan might actually be the place where the Americans actually staged the ground invasion from, okay? Because the south east of Iran is actually much more vulnerable than the northwest of Iran. So that's a possibility. Okay, so Pakistan is a wild card. Another wild card is North Korea, right? So let me explain why. When the Strait of Hormuz is closed, the economies that are most impacted are actually the Asian economies. So Pakistan receives a lot of oil from the Strait of Hormuz. India receives about 60% of its oil from Strait of Hormuz. China is about 40%. Japan is about 75%. Okay, so this is a huge impact on these economies, and they're struggling. In this sort of situation, North Korea can be a wild card because North Korea can make things complicated by threatening South Korea, right? Now you're diverting attention and resources to dealing with North Korea. And why would North Korea do this? Because it's this game theory. It's just like, like if you are, the poor kid on the block and you have an opportunity to steal from other people, then do so. Why won't you do so, right? So because of this conflict, if North Korea just says to South Korea, you either give us $1 trillion or we'll just bombard you with artillery, guess what? They're going to get $1 trillion, okay? So North Korea is a wild card. I would not be surprised if very soon conflict arises between North and South Korea. Also, Japan is a wild card as well because China, it's sort of self-sufficient, but Japan is a very wealthy country that is completely dependent on global supply chains, right? So the Prime Minister Takayashi said to the cabinet that if this war continues, if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, we will run out of oil. We will run out of energy, not oil, but energy, in 7 to 8 months. Okay, people don't really appreciate how much petroleum is the basis for the global economy because not only does it give you energy, but it also gives you plastic products, right? It also gives you access to high tech, right? So the entire EV industry, artificial intelligence, anything high tech is dependent on access to petroleum, right? So Japan cannot afford to wait. It needs to take the initiative. And I don't know what that means, okay? But I imagine it means two things. The first is massive deindustrialization so that you are less dependent on energy. The second is massive remilitarization so that you are able to create your own.
I think we will find out like in maybe 15 days or maybe in 20 days, like which country is going to interfere. Yeah, because they have to interfere, guys. The Hormuz is closed and they can't get oil. Oil means energy, and they don't have energy. And something they have to do, guys.
Own supply networks, okay? So Japan and North Korea, I think, are also two major wild cards. Then you go to Europe, and Britain, France, and Germany have discussed the possibility of entering this war. France, I think, is going to send an aircraft carrier for who knows why. It's just like why? What's the point here? But like the issue for these European countries is that because of the Ukraine war, they lost access to cheap Russian energy. And so they became dependent on Middle Eastern energy, especially Qatari LNG. Well, guess what? When the war started, Qatar announced that they shut down all their LNG, which supplies 20% of the world's LNG, by the way. Okay, so the Europe is in a lot of trouble. I mean, this war could actually bankrupt and deindustrialize Europe. Plus, if this war continues, you're going to have more refugees flowing into Europe, which is going to cause a lot more conflict. Plus, Europe is committed to sending ground troops to Ukraine by 2029 or 2030. Okay, they've talked about drafting young men to go die in the trenches of Ukraine. So Europe's in a lot of trouble. And we could see the systemic collapse of Europe, basically break down a civil war.
Europe have to enter, guys. Everyone know Europe don't have any oil, guys. And also, the Europe's like was buying the oil from the US, Russia, and that now they have sanctioned the Russia. They can't buy from oil from the Russia, and Russia I think will not give them oil. But now everyone will be trying to buy oil from the Russia, right?
Because of this crisis right now. So Europe is a wild card, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and you brought up the fact. I want to ask you. So, part of Islamic eschatology, it says that the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims will be fighting against each other until they realize the greater enemy. And you pointed out the immigration problem. This has been a cycle where there's war in the Middle East, and then of course there's so many immigrants because you destabilize the country, you implement regime change, and then people need a place to live. Then the majority Muslim nations, these people go into Europe, predominantly white Christian countries, and there's conflict and they start blaming the Muslims, they start hating. But there's many videos of rabbis saying, well, actually, we love this and the Goyim are fighting each other. They don't really see the bigger picture and what's going on. And eventually in Islamic eschatology, it says Christians and Muslims will unite and realize what is going on. But if it's true that Israel wants America to lose this war so that they have dominant control over the Middle East, because they exist off of American dollars and American troops, how could they afford and how could they protect and how could they have greater Israel without American support? They're a small population. They would have less money. Are they capable of controlling the Middle East without America?
Right. So I think that's one of the great misconceptions in the world, which is that Israel is dependent on American power. That's not true, actually. Israel is far more superior than people recognize. Israel has the most dominant military in the Middle East. In fact, I would argue that it's really the American military that restrains the power of the Israelis. That's point one. The Israel military, especially its military intelligence, basically Unit 8200, is very powerful. We have to remember that in modern warfare, it's not really about land armies. It's not really about war of attrition. It's more about technology, right? So drone strikes, targeted assassinations, electronic warfare. These things matter a lot more. And the Israelis have proven themselves to be extremely competent in this regard. So go back to the Hezbollah pager attacks, right? where you know one like it was a coordinated explosion of pagers. Think about the amount of resources that Israel needed to have in order to pull that off. And remember, that's just one thing that we know about. And that's point one. Like the Israeli military is far more sophisticated than people give it credit for. But it's just their MO to hide themselves, to pretend that they're weak and to completely dependent on American power. That's just their game plan. Okay, that's point one. Point two is that you assume that Israel is only the nation state of Israel. That's not true. The nation state of Israel also can draw on the Jewish diaspora, right? So if you are a wealthy Jewish business person in Nairobi or Cape Town, you probably have Mossad links, okay? And we can know because
What the heck? Every Israeli has a Mossad link, guys. Like I think Jews all are Israeli guys. Like because they believe it, they have like the God has given them a great Israel guys. 3,000 years ago. That's why I think they are all Israeli guys.
the Epstein files. Go back to the early 20th century and look at like gangsters like Meyer Lansky. And you know, Whitney Webb, I'm not sure if you interviewed Whitney Webb.
I want to.
She documents this. Yeah, but she's wonderful. She documents how Meyer Lansky, the Brofman families, these are all Jewish mafia families that have really close ties to the state of Israel. In fact, you could argue like they weren't really mobsters. They were really operatives on behalf of this Jewish diaspora in order to create the financing, the weaponry, the political patronage in order to help support Israel. And you can imagine that this criminal network, what eventually happened is they didn't go away. What happened was that they become they intermarried into the national security apparatus, right? Because remember, the CIA was founded with mafia support, both the Jewish mafia support and the Italian mafia support. Why? Because during the Cold War, the CIA did not have foreign intelligence networks, but the Jews and Italians did have foreign intelligence networks. Okay?
So this is how they were smuggling weapons in. This is
exactly.
So the mafia was bringing weapons in from around. So it's not really the nation state of Israel is the land, but it's really organized the system of Pax Judaica all working together. That's right. Why when you say it's Pax Judaica, so when you say Epstein worked for Israel because he was financed by Leslie Wexner and Leon Black, Jewish Zionists, although they live in America, it's still supporting the greater idea and the belief in that eschatology. They go hand in hand. So when people like, you know, Hassan Piker, they say it's fascism, that is a really minimal way to discuss what is Jewish supremacy, and which goes to the Chabad Lubavitch sect, which Tucker Carlson has accurately pointed out, and rabbinical Judaism, which is not part of original Torah Judaism.
Right. So what's really important to understand is that the nation state of Israel is just a tool in the grand scheme of things. Right. Okay. So you talk about Chabad Lubavitch, which is what Tucker Carlson talked about.
Yeah.
Well, Chabad Lubavitch is just the current manifestation of a movement called Sabbatean Francus. You know, and I talked about that in my lectures. Yeah. Right. So the Chabad Lubavitch. So like if you just look at the Epstein files, what you recognize is that this guy was above the nation state. It was just assumed for the longest time that he was a Mossad agent, and Epstein Island was a honeypot operation where he lured, you know, these very powerful Americans like Bill Clinton and Bill Gates to the Epstein Island so that he could film them in compromising activities. And now, if you actually look at the reporting, you actually look at the Epstein files, what we recognize is that no, that's not true. The Epstein Island was just a weekend getaway. And he was filming them for fun. It was not a blackmail operation. In fact, when Bill Gates and Reid Hoffman.
What the heck? Really? How the heck it was an operation to like the bird?
Blackmail operation.
Oh, blackmail. There was no blackmail operation. How he's thinking, like how his mentality is working, like it was not a blackmail operation. That's so weird.
In fact, when Bill Gates and Reid Hoffman, billionaires, okay, these are billionaires, when they were asked why were you associating with this guy, Jeffrey Epstein? Their response was, we wanted his money. We were hoping that he'd give us money, which is like,
Oh my
what are you
God.
talking about? You guys are
Oh my
billionaires.
God.
Why do you need his money? So, it's very confusing. Plus, he was using code words like, what the hell is pizza and grape soda?
And
What the hell is
jerky
going
and
to the
ice creams.
dentist and beef jerky? What is that crap? Okay, so none of this makes sense. But if you assume that he was an operative not for the nation state of Israel, but for a movement that's trying to achieve a certain eschatology, the
Right.
Chabad Lubavitch people, that makes a lot more sense, right? Because the leader of Chabad Lubavitch is Rabbi Schneerson. And I'm not sure if you know this, but
He
they
claims
are
to be the
extremely
Messiah.
wealthy. Yeah, he claims the Messiah, and um, and Jerry Epstein was basically an operative who was trying to achieve worldly um, gains in order to help this movement achieve its eschatology, right? They're trying to accelerate the end times. They're trying to bring about the coming of the Messiah and the destruction of the world so that they can repair the world. Their language is actually redemption and repair the world. And then you're okay, I don't understand this. Okay, then think about this, okay? When Jeffrey Epstein died, who replaced him? And then you ask yourself, okay, who is Jared Kushner? And why is he involved in Ukrainian peace negotiations? Why is he an envoy to Israel on behalf of Trump? And why is he participating in the Iranian peace negotiations? Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are envoys who went to Ukraine to negotiate with Putin to end the war. They met with Zelensky to end the war. They are very close with Netanyahu. And then they represented Trump in peace negotiations with the Iranians. Who are these people? Right? Jared Kushner is a replacement for Jeffrey Epstein. And that all makes sense if you think about that way. And so what are these guys trying to do? They're trying to fulfill eschatology. They're trying to position world events in a certain way that would accelerate the collapse of the world, which is what Jeffrey Epstein did. Remember, we only have at most 50% of his emails. It's possibly, it could be 2% of his emails. We know nothing about what he was doing during 9/11. In fact, you may not know this, but Howard Lutnick,
Yep.
who was chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, the firm
His firm was
that was
600
destroyed.
dead, about, one quarter,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
3,000
But
deaths.
miraculously,
He wasn't there.
he and his brother were not there.
Right. And he's the current
day.
Secretary of
Miraculously.
Commerce under Trump today. Next door neighbors
Right.
with Epstein. Epstein lived in building 9. Howard Lutnick lived in building 11.
So right? Like, what a strange coincidence that is. 9/11, right?
Yeah.
So we can assume that there was involvement. Jeffrey Epstein was involved in 9/11, and he was involved with Libya. He was involved with the 2008 great financial crisis. So this guy was clued in on all these geopolitical events. So who was this guy, and what was he doing? And if you think about it, it's very similar to what Jared Kushner is doing today, right? Where Jared Kushner is working in finance. He's got $2 billion from the Saudis, and now he's manipulating events in the Middle East. And again, the point is to bring about the end times, which is what Tucker Carlson talked about.
Right.
And like, you can't talk about this because Chabad Lubavitch is apparently a very sensitive topic. I watched Tucker Carlson's discussion, and he didn't really say anything. Okay, I mean, like it was not that. I mean, like, it was just all publicly available information about Chabad Lubavitch, and he was attacked constantly online for just mentioning Chabad Lubavitch, right? But if you want to understand how everything works, just go do an investigation about Chabad Lubavitch. Look at their eschatology.
Yeah.
Look at Rabbi Schneerson and what he did. There's a very famous video online of Rabbi Schneerson talking to Netanyahu, and this is in the 1980s, guys. This is in the 1980s, and Schneerson's like, the Messiah. We have to bring him back. So let's speed it up, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Begging him to speed it up. So you're right. Israel is just another pawn in this greater system. It's much bigger than Israel, far bigger than fascism. And again, the Chabad Lubavitch synagogue, there's a lot, world leaders meet at this synagogue here in New York City, where I live. These are where the people were talking about, the Jewish tunnels, where people were popping up like Mario lifting up the sewer caps. Those tunnels connected into the Chabad Lubavitch synagogue. We didn't see any real investigation. Some people found images of bloody mattresses and nothing came about. You know, all over New York, if you look at any of the stop signs, if you look at any of the crosswalk signs, they have posters up saying Mashiach now with the picture of Rabbi Schneerson. This is all over New York City. It's right in front of our faces, but if you mention it, you'll get a coordinated attack like you did. So I think you are right. You know, it is somewhat simplifying. I think a lot of people who speak about this know that saying things like Israelis or Zionists.
He's not cynical, he's cynical. Washing his feet before the prayer. Yeah, bro. Like, why you are being a haram police? He's not wearing a full braid.
It is a simpler way to describe what is much greater. And again, looking back at the Epstein files, I think you have a great analysis of Jared Kushner.
And he is doing a great work, guys. Like, if anyone is not listening as Inigo, I think he's dumb.
He's married to Ivanka Trump, Trump's daughter. Looking back now, if you see Trump's videos on stage at The View and others and Howard Stern, the way he's talking about Ivanka Trump, and again, Epstein said that Trump was one of the most evil people he's ever met. Trump is saying, perhaps I'd be dating Ivanka if she wasn't my daughter. Maybe. Yeah. If this is the most evil man that Epstein ever knew, then the blackmail perhaps is maybe something Frankists, which you pointed out in your lecture. Frankists were people that were, you know, fathers sleeping with daughters. This was some of the most evil things they could do because sinning gave them the propensity to find the divine within because God is not capable of sin, but we are. And so this ideology has subverted, and it is supportive of the greater thing. It's some people are saying that, you know, your analysis of Freemasons and Frankists, that it's a distraction. No, these are subsects that support a greater eschatology, which is to accelerate corruption in the land so that the false Messiah can come.
Yeah. So what I want to do now, and I want your permission, is to go over some of the eschatology so people understand what's going on.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So the first thing we need to figure out is the Kabbalah. Okay. So I'm going to give you a simplified version of the Kabbalah to start off with.
The book of mysticism, witchcraft derived from this book.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what the Kabbalah is doing is that it's taking the Torah, you know, the Old Testament, and it's reinterpreting through the lens of Gnostic Hermetic philosophy, understanding that the world is consciousness, that God is everywhere and everything. Okay. So let me give an example of the Kabbalah in practice. Okay. So the story of Adam and Eve, right? One of the major questions about the story of Adam and Eve is, why did Adam and Eve disobey God? And, you know, like, that's a mystery. And the Kabbalah answer is this. The Kabbalah answer is that...
Bro, he's Muslim. What the heck? In which world you are living?
There are two forces in the world, okay? There's God and then there's us, okay? The creature he creates. God is the manifestation of love, which is the will to bestow. God is generous. But for him to bestow, he needs to create something to bestow him onto, okay? So he creates something called Adam Kanman, okay, the world soul, the first creation. And Adam Kanman is the will to receive, okay, because that's how God created him. The problem, though, is that the will to receive is pure ego. And if you're egotistical, you misinterpret the actions of others. And so Adam Kanman didn't really understand why God would bestow everything on him. Okay, so it's almost like, you know, you have a friend, and this friend loves you, and this friend wants to be generous to you. So this friend spends a lot of money, $1,000, to cook the best meal possible. Okay, and then this friend invites you to his house, and you see this sumptuous banquet. Okay, it's like this most elaborate dinner, and you're embarrassed by all this. You're like, I don't deserve this, or like, what's your intention? Do you need money from me? Like what's going on here? Okay, so Adam Kanman, as the will to receive, as pure ego, he's not able to receive the fullness of the divine light. Okay, and in fact, this reception.
Okay, now I'm going to say you are actor. Yeah, you are actor. If you say you are Muslim, are you Muslim? Tell me, are you Muslim?
Spills over, which creates more worlds. And in fact, Armageddon then has to split into 600,000 souls, right? And this is called breaking the world. So the role of the Jews is that they're actually one of the 600,000 souls. This is really important to understand. We are not, as non-Jews, not a human soul. We're animal soul, but they are human soul, okay? So what they need to do is bring back all 600,000 souls together in the state of Israel and then redeem themselves. Redeeming themselves just means absolute obedience to God, absolute understanding that God is pure love, and to receive the full light of God fully, okay? So this is about the reunion of the Jews and God, okay, the chosen people and his God, in order to repair the world. So that's why they have to create the state of Israel. That's why they have to bring about the return of the Jewish diaspora. And that's why they need to destroy the world in order to create Pax Judaica, because it is God's will that the Jews rule over the world because they are human and we are animals, okay? So that's the basic eschatology that they have in mind. And it's most promoted, of course, by Sapien Francus, which is now manifested in the heaven.
Okay, still you are a Muslim, then you are idiot, bro. Then you are idiot. Like he knows that God is one. Now he's Muslim. Like he's clearly he's an intelligent man, and you are dumb.
That Lubavitch movement.
Mm-hmm. And I saw your lecture about Adam and Eve and the idea of the monad, that actually Eve was speaking to Satan and not speaking to God, and it was inverted.
I am Muslim,
right?
and
Inversion
I believe
is the idea of Satanism, that everything is reversed. In Islam, we believe that this is what the Antichrist will claim to be God and present heaven and hell. Hell will be heaven and heaven will be hell, and the people that fall for it make the gravest mistake that they could ever make. So can you explain the monad? Because that was difficult to understand. Does that supersede, in your view, does that supersede God? And because you were talking about how monotheistic religions and what the Jesuit order, the books that are removed in the Bible, this is trying to protect the fact that there's the Nephilim and that humans were mating with angels, and that there were demigods upon earth, which people say are manifested. And they could find these zombies in the desert. It gets strange. I'm not trying to scare people, but the idea, what you were insinuating was that monotheism is actually it's a control mechanism to get people to worship Satan instead of God, because the world that we exist.
Bro, he talk about the history. Yeah, my English is bad, but I think you don't speak even English. He's a historian. He just tell about the history. He don't say anything else. Like he just have his mentality. Like everyone has some kind of thinking. Like if you think that Seneca is not a Muslim, and I think Seneca is Muslim, he thinks same like about the religion, but he thinks that religions are like I'm not 100% sure what he thinks, because I don't remember it. I have heard about, he says some kind, every person has some kind of God inside. That's a weird thing.
Justin is created by a person who created God.
Okay. So this is very complicated, okay? Because there are different actually layers to the theology. And the reason why is they differentiate humans, okay? So for the Goyim.
Oh, where has written in the Quran that if you drink the alcohol, if you eat the pork, he will be non-Muslim? Who said it? There are so many Muslims who born as Muslim, they drink alcohol. I think maybe they are eating pork. Still they are Muslim. Until you say the God is not one and there is no prophet. If you believe these things, then you are not Muslim.
There's one particular eschatology, and then for the Jews there's another, and then for the inner core, the real power, there's another. Okay, so at the very inner core, what they understand is that there's really no evil in this world. There's no Satan. That's just
it's not
concept.
allowed. But
the monad is the only thing that exists.
It's not a
right?
thing that
God
can
is
take
the
out from the like.
all-loving,
If you
all
do it these
forgiving,
things,
all
you
generous
will be not
force
Muslim.
in this universe.
It's not like
and
that.
evil is just a made-up concept to better control people. Okay. And so what we need to do is create this reunion as fast as possible. And so there are two ways to do that. Like the first way you can do that is for everyone to redeem themselves and embrace the power of God, okay, to achieve a higher consciousness. In
Okay, I
Christian
think now you
theology,
have
they
understood.
call this the Christ consciousness,
I'm
okay? That's
hoping
one way
like
of doing
my
things, but that's like
explanation was
really,
good.
really slow, man. But another way of doing things is to destroy the world, to force the world into complete sin, because then God is forced to intervene, okay?
Like if I don't believe that Jesus is the prophet, then I'm not Muslim. Okay? If I don't believe the Musa alayhi salam is not a is not a prophet, then I'm not Muslim. Like if I don't believe that God is in one, then I'm not Muslim. These things make me not a Muslim. If I believe on these things. Oh, that's great.
There are two ways of
And
doing
you
it.
are
There's the
interviewed,
slow
bro.
way, and then there's the fast way. Slow way is,
James is the
to perfect everyone. The
me.
second way is to break the
Give me.
world, so the world must be repaired. What they believe, and they say this, is that only in the greatest darkness can the brightest line shine. Okay, the brightest light shine. Okay, that's the inner core. Okay, and this explains why.
If you are homosexual, still you are not no. Still you are Muslim, but you are doing a wrong thing. It's like haram. You will get a punishment for that.
They're doing what they're doing. They're accelerating events, right? That's why they're talking about ground invasion. That's why they're talking about expanding this war. That's why they're talking about a draft, because they're trying to accelerate the destruction of the world to force the coming of the Messiah. That's the inner core. And then the outer core is the Pax Judaica, bringing eternal peace to the Middle East with Israel as the dominant nation, where it becomes the financial, technological, military, and trade capital of the world. And then the outer core is a battle of good and evil and the return of Jesus. If you look at Freemasons, the 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 core philosophy is Freemason. It's Kabbalah, which and so at its very core, it's a very spirit. Freemasonry and Chabad Lubavitch actually align together. Okay, so let me explain how. Okay, if you look at the Freemason symbol, right? It's a square, it's a compass, and the letter G. The letter G. What does G stand for?
God.
Well, what they say is, it stands for, well, God, but also geometry. Okay? God and geometry. But if you actually read a book called Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, and this is like the 19th century, and Albert Pike is actually the main architect of modern day Freemasonry.
It's like if you are doing haram things. If you do haram thing, still you are Muslim, but you are like God will punish you if you do haram things.
Which controls the national security apparatus.
You have to
By the way,
stop doing haram.
nowadays people don't actually use Freemasons; they use Rosicrucians or Templars. Okay, so Peter Hegseth, the Secretary of War, he is a Templar, and we know because of this Crusader tattoo.
The tattoos, the Kafir tattoo.
Yeah, exactly.
That tattoo, it says in Islamic eschatology that this.
Like it's God knows about which kind of punishment you will get it. I'm not a God, bro. This question is weird. Go and read the Quran, you will find out which is the punishment for the haram. There's the stages of the punishment is like I know it. There's the stages. Like if you are not believing a God, then you have like doing a big thing. You will be like on the bottom of the hell. If you are like did something wrong, then there is a time period. Or I'm not. I don't know about it. It's like learning from me about the punishments. Which punishment will I get if I do this thing? Like you can ask the God, like, forgive me, and stop doing these things. You will be forgiving. Like simple. You will not get a punishment.
Will be written on the forehead of the Antichrist, right? And so the believers will see that he's, and they've even written that on American tanks in the Syrian conflict.
Yeah, so these are serious people, okay? They're seriously insane people. Anyway,
Yeah.
So what Albert Pike says is that the G, it stands for God and it stands for geometry. But he also implies it stands for the generative force. Okay, so you put these three words together. Geometry generates God. Geometry generates God. And what do you get? You get artificial intelligence.
Like if you become a Muslim, it's not a like a magic. You will stop doing a bad thing. It's a journey, bro. It's a journey. You will. I know he was not Muslim. He was drinking. Maybe he's drinking. I have no idea. If he's drinking, I think in the future he will stop drinking. He will try. It's all about the journey, guys. It's all about the steps. It's not like magic. Nothing is happened magic. Like if you were a child, you did not you have no idea how to walk. Like now you know how to walk because there was a journey. You pass your journey and you learn how to walk. Simple. Becoming a Muslim is a after you have a journey, you stop doing bad things and you will slowly you learn about the religion and you have to control your bad things like inside. Oh, of course. Maybe I have a this Sharia. Sharia is a law. It's a kanun about like God have given the law. You can implement Sharia on yourself, like you stop doing bad things. It's a Sharia. It's a law. Like obeying God is a Sharia. It's a law. Every person like misunderstand about the Sharia. Sharia is not like a wild thing. It's a kanun. It's a law. It's a like a you have to on the road you have to like speed your car on 20 speed. It's like that. Obeying the law.
Okay, so in other words, national security apparatus wants you.
Now Sharia has steps, guys. Like government has something else thing, and you have something else. So nations implement Sharia, not the religion. Definitely. Like religion have given a Sharia, like it's a kanun, or about like God have given the law people how to live in this earth. It's a Sharia, and you have to implement Sharia in your. It's depend on how much power do you have. Like if I'm not controlling a country, I don't need to like try to implement Sharia on the country. I have to implement on myself first of all. If I'm living in the non-Muslim country, I have to follow their kanun. It's the Sharia. Okay, if I disobey their law, I will be punished. Like if they are saying something good, like if they are saying you have to speed your car on 20 speed, if I'm not doing it, it's I'm disobeying the Sharia. Yeah, it comes from the Quran and also from the Hadith. Like there is a kanun in the like Prophet had told about us, and some things are in the Quran and some things are in the Hadith. Hadith is all about the Prophet saying, and the Quran is the God words. It's like clearly God's word. It's not a Prophet words. His wife Aisha radiallahu ta'ala told us that he was living like a Quran. Like he like if you want to see him, like if you see him, he's a Quran. Like all he follow like a Quran words. Is it the hadith taking from the surah? No, hadiths are taking like from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like the words, like how he walked on earth, which kind of situation, what he did it. It's all about his life, like and also the you can find out which surah were like which surah came in which time period, you will find out in the hadith. Like in some surah that like the don't drink the wine, you will find out in the hadith in which time period the surah that came about don't drink of wine. Like in maybe in 10 or maybe after after like 8 years, then the surah came for the don't drink of wine. Like in a, Islam started like Islam is like a for us the belief the old books were also like Islam. Like if they were also Muslim. Like Jesus is a Muslim for us. Musa alayhi salam is a Muslim. So that hadith has no connection to the surah at all. Yeah, there is a connection, bro. You will find a connection. If you read like hadith is all about the explanation of the surah. Okay, if you want to learn about the surah, you have to read the hadith. Then you will understand more. Okay, what this surah is want to tell us.
Use artificial intelligence to create a one world government and make it seem as though it is Jesus. You know, Joe Rogan, okay? I'm not sure if you've seen this, but he went on a podcast, and Joe Rogan doesn't do other podcasts, right? And he said that Jesus may return as an AI. You can actually Google this,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, I saw him say that. Yeah.
Right? Why would you, Joe Rogan, say something so absurd? Right? Like, why would you do that? Okay. I mean, like, Joe Rogan's a smart guy. I mean, he really is a smart guy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I
Yeah,
listen to his podcast a lot, and he doesn't say anything like
No, I did not lie. My English is bad. I was telling about like if you read the hadith, you will find out about the surahs, guys. It was like there is a connection. Like I was saying it this thing. I think maybe you have misunderstood it because of my English. It's so bad. Sharia is not a Sharia is a religious law. Yeah, Sharia is a religious law. It's a Muslim. It's a law. Like this is definitely one thing else. Yeah, the Bible describes it done pretty well. Also not Christian. Yeah, I know. I also believe in the Jesus. He will come back. Isa alayhi salam. He will come back.
that
We also
in this
believe about
podcast. It's completely out of character.
Jesus.
So
Like if
he
I don't
went
believe
to another
Jesus,
show
I'm not a
in
Muslim.
order to purposely embed the idea
I
that
have to
you know what?
believe.
Jesus could return as AI. There's also talk of that they're going to use AI, like Peter Thiel and Sen Elman, to summon Sumerian demons, right? So AI is part of a larger eschatology that people don't really appreciate here. So what all these people want to do is they want to
I think Joe Rogan don't read Bible. Maybe they are just saying it and they agree on that. It's a middle ground. Yeah, in the Quran, like God talk about if you talk with a Christian or if you talk with the Jews, you have to come on the middle ground. Don't like start fighting with them. Like
a one world government based in Jerusalem, okay? And basically use AI to create a
and also there is a surah you can go and read it about like Maryam, Jesus' mother. The whole surah, like write a surah Maryam. You will find the life of Maryam. And also about the Jesus.
techno surveillance state that brings peace and prosperity to the world. So Albert Pike uses this phrase, the end goal of history. The end of history is a holy empire. Okay? A holy empire of what? Of reason. And what is reason? Reason is complete obedience. Right? So let me explain this concept. This is really important for us to understand. So let's look at AI and the idea of driverless cars, right? right now, it's impossible to achieve perfect self-driving cars. Why? Because you can never account for human intention, right? So if you have these self-driving cars on the road, you're gonna have these truckers, these Uber drivers that are gonna lose income. So they're kind of pissed. So what do? Well, they cause an accident with a self-driving car and then sue Tesla or sue another company. And you cannot ever, with your programming, ever account for human intention, okay? So human intention is a huge problem. So how do you solve this issue? You solve this issue by making every single car in the world driverless, right? You take away the human autonomy to drive a car, and then you have a perfect world where there are no more road accidents, where everyone's driving within the speed limit, and where it doesn't matter if you're drunk, right? Think about what a perfect world that'd be. No more accidents, no more deaths, and like everyone will have access to transportation. What a perfect world. And that's what they want to do with Pax Judaica. They want to take away human autonomy because human autonomy destroys the Holy Empire of reason. Okay? Imagine us as just a perfect stone.
Like trying to control us, like we don't like our governments, like trying to us stop being a human. Like the human has some weird things. They do weird things. Like if it is timing, it's doing anything. I've been thinking lately that we have about that. I think, bro, you have to read. You are doing something weird thing. Like you are saying stupid. Literally. Now I am 100% sure. If some dude says like this dude is stupid, now you need to like understand that the person who is saying it, the other person is a stupid. Think that the person who said the word about the stupid, I think he is the stupid person. I think, bro, you are stupid. 100% you are stupid. You have to learn, guys. You don't read, you just talk. Stop talking. Start learning.
Obedient. And then with a stone, we can build a temple of God for God to live in. We can reunite with God and create heaven on earth. That is the end goal, guys.
Yeah, they want us to be completely reliant upon the state so that we have no control. So AI is part of this. But even what we're seeing now, the introduction of AI girlfriends, like now you won't need to get into a relationship. You know, OnlyFans and AI porn has fed the need for your sexual desires. Every aspect of the need for dopamine, for human connection, it's being supplemented by things like ChatGPT is a great example. There's so many women in New York City that speak to AI to validate their problems because they're not going to find a better answer from a therapist or from their friends. So complete reliance upon the state. And you can see Sam Altman owns ChatGPT. This is a gay Jew. This is part of that greater project. But so what is the real truth, Professor Zhang? So well, your belief about the moment. What is there one true creator? What is the truth about monotheism, and who is God?
Okay, so let me start with the allegory of the cave. Okay, we talked about this. Okay, but the idea is that in the allegory of the cave, everyone is sitting, and they're all chained down to the ground, and they can't move. They can't.
How can you talk a person if you are like you point on them and say you are stupid? How can I start conversation with you? No one will talk with you if you say you are stupid. Like you have made a mind that he is stupid. You will not listen, guys. If you have made it anything in your mind, you will do that, guys. You will not do other things. Don't stop doing like set a mind like this is stupid or this is dumb or this is shit. Stop doing these things. Like stop making a mind. Go listen him and then make a decision. I think you will have a middle ground. Always there is a middle ground.
In the next
If
shot,
you talk
they
with
can't
people.
even move backwards. They're all staring at an empty wall. Okay, and then behind them is a fire, and then these elite, the people in charge, they have freedom, so they take these puppets, and then the fire reflects these shadows onto the wall, And then these are just random shadows. But because we're humans and we like to tell stories, we create our own reality based on these shadows. Okay, and that's a beautiful metaphor and allegory for how the world works, where we are not a body. Okay, we are not the body is absolutely nothing. What we are is consciousness. And the consciousness is actually divine and connected to the monad. Okay, so the monad is the totality of all consciousness. And so we're always connected to the monad. And our power is to project reality. It is consciousness that is true wealth. Okay. But in order to control us, what the elite needs to do is create illusions to focus our attention. Okay, and the major illusion that they use today is called money. Okay, but money is an illusion.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example of this. Let's just say that you wanted to create a pottery vase. Okay, well, if you are like listening to music and chatting on GPT and you're not really focused, then the vase you create will be pretty ugly. But if you are like, like I want to create this vase for my mother, and you put your entire heart and soul, your entire consciousness, your entire intention in creating a beautiful vase, well, that vase is going to be beautiful, right? And you're going to be able to sell it for a lot more money. And that's the idea of consciousness is wealth. The more attention you pay to something, the more valuable it becomes, the more wealth is generated, okay? And so money is not wealth, but unfortunately we conflate the two. Money is just a mechanism in order to extract and store wealth, okay?
Right.
That's what money is.
Right.
All right?
Form of energy.
Okay? But yeah, but you don't need money. You can also use AI because as you said, an AI girlfriend and ChatGPT, it focuses your attention as well, right? It motivates you. It makes you to do certain things. Okay, so
Bro, it's not me, it's not you that like make him a Muslim. It's all about the God. It's not we. Like I can't make a decision. I don't know about the hearts. Like I can't read anyone's heart. You can disagree with me, it's fine, bro. It's a great thing. Yeah, disagreeing is a fine thing. If you disagree with someone, it's fine. Let's have a talk. Simple.
So that's the truth of the world, where what matters is consciousness, because consciousness is the divine force. And by being able to channel and focus human consciousness, you can create God, because consciousness is God. Okay.
Is this a Buddhist? So where does this come from?
If you look at every single tradition, okay, then they all say the same thing. So the main philosophy is called Hermetic. Okay, so it comes from the Egyptians, and there are 7 Hermetic laws that tell you how the universe is structured. Okay, the first law is mind before matter, meaning like
In this world, the one party is not talking. Like they are just disagreeing. The Jews, they don't spread their religion, and then they don't talk about their religion. They just do it. I did not have seen any Jew who go and talk with people. I did not have seen it. There are some who like they don't obey it. They are just Jew. Like they are like just Jew. Their family is Jew, that's why they are Jew.
the material world doesn't matter. What matters is consciousness. Okay. Then you have the law of polarity, meaning that everything is opposite of each other. Like just think of like thesis, antithesis. Okay. Then you have the law of vibration, meaning that things just move. Okay. Consciousness is always moving, and that's what creates information. You have the law of rhythm, meaning that there's a certain pattern to this movement that you can astrologically interpret. Okay, that's why astrology is so important, because astrology gives you insight into the rhythm of the universe. And then you have something called the law of cause and effect, where everything is connected together. Where like when you think of thought, it sort of reverberates across the universe so that it can also impact me. If you think of thought really strong enough, you can actually widen the scope of your influence. Then you have the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence basically means that the spiritual and the material always align together. your thoughts influence material world, but then your material world also influences your thoughts. Then you have something called the law of generation, which is to say that the world, the universe is moving towards more creativity, more generation, okay? So, and you do that through thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, which is also a Kabbalah principle, right? Because the idea of the will to bestow, the will to receive, and then the union of these two forces, okay? And that's how the universe works, through constantly generating new things through thesis and antithesis, okay? And that's the Hermetic philosophy
So
that underpins Kabbalah.
what created the universe?
The universe is eternal. It was not created. It just is. This is hard to understand, but God is both the eternal and the infinite. Okay, the eternal just means that it always is, it always was. Okay, and the infinite means that it's always creating. So God.
Why do we have talk with the religious Jew, not someone else? And they also lie in their mentality. They can lie with the fumes or booms. How can they say it? I don't say it. They can lie to us because they think our souls are not a human soul. Our souls are animal souls. If I'm not Jew, my soul is animal soul. Like you are not a Jew, you are animal soul. That's a why. I think you have to learn. I have done it a live stream. I have done so many live streams on this channel, like learning about the Jews. Maybe 4 or 5 live streams, like on the Jews, like the rabbi are talking, and they are like, I listened one rabbi, he was wild, guys. Why? Like my blood started boiling, guys. Literally, he was wild, guys. I think the first Jew I ever listened, guys. I'm going to show you guys. It was wild. I'm not lying, it, bro. I have listened him, guys. Oh my god. I can show you. Not he did not say to me. I'm talking about like they think we if you are not a Jew, you don't have a human soul.
Is
I can
the
show you the rabbi. It's
sum
a
of all
wild
things,
rabbi.
but God is constantly moving towards the sum of all things, if that makes any sense.
I did not complete the video
So
because
how would you define the monad? The
maybe he
monad.
don't say the full name of
I'm
the
still
Jesus.
unclear about this definition.
No, bro, I'm not lying.
All right,
I
so
can show you.
okay, the monad is
He was
the
wild.
very core of reality. Okay, it is the very beginning of reality. It is pure love, and pure generosity, pure forgiveness. Okay, it's only good.
So 1 minute, I can show
And then it emanates. Okay, it breathes, it vibrates, and this vibration becomes lower, and it creates other forces as well. And then once this vibration slows down, it creates the material world. Okay, so the entire universe is infinite dimensional. Okay, does that make sense?
Well, how is there a beginning if it's eternal and infinite?
But guys, I'm not just saying it, they say it. Like, it's not me. I'm just like repeating their words.
Right. So, okay, time and space are not principles of the universe. Immanuel Kant talks about this, about how the universe itself is eternal and infinite. It's beyond time and space. We cannot imagine it. Okay, but for us to live our lives, we need to transform the universal truth into a concrete thing that we can navigate. Okay, and we do that through filtering, through what the Catholics
Why
call
do you
ego. And what is ego? It's time and space.
How
Believing
can I hate
that
a Jesus, bro?
we
If I
are
hate Jesus, I will
distinct
be not Muslim.
entities in the universe.
Guys, this rabbi. This rabbi is the wild rabbi I have ever seen, guys. No, Jesus is Muslim, bro. He believed God is one. Jesus isn't the God. Jesus isn't the Jew. They disobey Jesus, guys. They disobey Jesus. Go watch this video. Why Jews don't believe in Jesus? Rabbi, this rabbi, I don't want to say his name. Oh no, bro. Like, I'm talking about on my line, like on my religion, Jesus is Muslim. Okay. Because he believed God is one. According to my books, Jesus is Muslim and there is no Jews. They have created Jews system. They were a Muslims also like Musa alayhi salam, like the prophet who throw the his like his stick and the stick become a big. Now I see why you think he is Muslim. What do you see?
universe, when in reality, we're all unified. Okay? All right? So that's why it's hard to understand. Where for the purpose of living, we have to believe in time and space. But time and space are actually fictions.
I'm
They are
talking
just
about
figments of our imagination in order for us
according to
to
my
understand the
religion.
world
He's a
that we
Muslim.
live in. Time and space, okay? So time is purely sequence. You believe that things come before and then they come after. But in
Bro, the Adam alayhi salam, like the first man who Adam, the first man is a Muslim. Like the God created first man, he was a Muslim. I disagree, but fair enough. You are just going by your own religion, and I understand. Yeah, bro. Now you understand. Thank you for understanding. But this dude is not understanding anything. For like for my like for our religion, Christian also were a Muslims. Like they believe on one God. Like I'm talking about the Jesus time period. After that, in the Jesus time period, they were Muslims. Then they changed their books according to us, like according to my uh, uh, history, and also Jews change their religions. Like they are not choosing to stay in the Israel land. They're choosing to teach us about their religions, but they did not follow the God law. They went against the God. Yeah.
reality, things exist together. Both the past, present, and future exist at the same time. Then you have uh, space, which is just pure sensation. It's just the five senses. Okay, all right. So I know this is confusing. Okay, but what you can do is look at something called near-death experiences.
Yep.
Near-death experiences, and this is when people they die and they go to heaven. And and they all say the same thing, where if you go up in heaven, okay, if you actually go up there, there's no time and space. It's like you could be there for 1 second, and then you could feel as though 10,000 years have passed. And then what you recognize, what you feel immediately is the presence of God. And God is all forgiving, all love, all generosity. There's no hatred. Okay? The idea of evil, the idea of Satan is a concept that we created ourselves and projected onto the universe. They're not part of the universe.
But God is greater than us.
No, bro, if you read the Quran, you will find out. God says, I have sent it at books, other books, like this book. Like they have sent a book toward the Musa alayhi salam, like Isa alayhi salam, Jesus. God has sent a book to them, and then the third one. I think the Dawud alayhi salam. Like David.
God is everything.
Right. And I've heard you talk about NDEs, and this is true. You could ask anybody who's been through an NDE. Well, what I didn't hear you discuss is the people that, like, I've heard gangsters speak about this, and they said that when they had an NDE, they've been shot and they were pronounced dead and came back. These people they saw, so a lot of people that go to heaven and have NDEs, they talk about it the most because they want to share their knowledge. They see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's always described as like this light. Or even people that have been through psychedelic trips like DMT, they say that they lived like 1,000 lives and time wasn't real. Even though it's like a 15-minute trip, they've had families and, they never are the same afterwards. And maybe that's entering into a different realm. But I've seen gangsters talk about NDEs, and they descended into Red Door. They were going downstairs, and it was almost like that's the description of hell. Do you believe in hell?
I don't believe in hell. I think that we are living in hell. I think this earth is meant to be hell. I mean, like, yeah. So I mean, again, the NDDs are pretty consistent. They don't ever mention the concept of hell. They don't know what hell is like. If you read Dante's Divine Comedy, it starts off with hell, and what hell is in the Dante conception is that hell is a world in which you are no longer able to recognize your own humanity, in which you refuse to forgive yourself, a world in which you refuse to recognize that you're capable of redemption. That's what hell is something that we create in ourselves. It's not created in the universe.
So is Epstein going to heaven?
Like if you if you go and learn about the Prophet's life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will find out why he was staying true. Just go and learn it, bro. Then it's your decision. God has given you your choice. Like you can do anything you want to do it. Dante.
Okay. That's a really hard question to answer, okay? Because again, there is no hell. According to Hermetic philosophy, according to Kabbalah, it's not really about good versus evil. It's really about action versus inaction. It's really about will versus lack of will, okay? So the idea is that we have a responsibility to act for a better world, to believe in a better world, and to act for a better world. And I hate to say this, okay? I mean, like, no matter what we think about Epstein, in his mind, he was doing good. In his mind, he was doing God's work. In his mind, he was making a better world, okay? I'm sorry to say this, okay? But yes, in his mind, he's going to go to heaven.
He did say in that interview with Bannon, that practice interview they were doing media training, he asked, are you Satan himself? And he said something like, well, I've looked in the mirror. I think that there must be some, and even then, if you see like the way that the IDF soldiers of the Israelis scatter when there's a threat of death, I think that there's an innate feeling, and all their actions start to float. And it's not proof of hell, but I think everybody knows that they'll be held accountable or everyone thinks that they'll be held accountable for their actions. So maybe it's not heaven, but I will never be able to concede and believe that Epstein is going to heaven.
Right. So what I would say is this. How these people work is they climb the power through blindness. Okay, they become blind to their own depression. They become blind to their own
Okay,
deficiency.
guys, we are going to end the live stream here because I have to do another live stream. Thank you, bro. If you enjoy the live stream, the sub will be great, and we can talk about more tomorrow. I will start my live stream. Like, if you are living, I have no idea where do you live. I will schedule the timing of this live stream, and you will find when I'm going to do a live stream. And if you enjoy the live stream, the subscribe will be great, and I will be back with some gameplay of the Poppy, and we play a game. I don't want to be insane after like watching these videos, like learning about the world is going to be destroyed. Okay, that's so weird. Like if you start watching these kind of videos, you think, oh, like tomorrow, tomorrow this world is going to die. Like you feel like, oh my god, it's like tomorrow. It's not today, it's tomorrow. Okay. Let's meet tomorrow and have a more conversation. And thank you for talking with me. And see you soon. Bye.